We are on to week 7 of the college fantasy football season. I'm your host, Matt Hicks, the FF Educator, here with John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar, to continue helping you in your fantasy football championship push. On to week 7, we're going to go through our 5 best waiver targets of the week. But as always, this show is about more than just our waiver targets. We want to help you with those start-sit decisions, maybe some trade conversations. Drop those questions in the comments. Anything you have college fantasy football related, we want to help you out. Before we get to week 7, let's take a look at our week 6 hits, keeping ourselves honest here. A big week for running back Jaden Nixon. That was the top guy this past week, 34.6 fantasy points. John highlighted him in his sleeper article available just for Rookie Big Board patrons over at patreon.com/Rookie Big Board. If you want to see his week 7 article, join us at the link in the episode description. We did talk about Jaden Williams, who I thought had a very nice game for Texas State last week. Did well without putting up a touchdown. If he put up a touchdown, it would have been a smash week. Alonzo Barnett continues to be a good play at the quarterback position. And Jay Ducker, a nice, solid rotational piece. You throw him into that running back too. You throw him into that flex spot at a Sam Houston State. But that was week 6. This is week 7. And it's time, John. We have not talked about the ponies nearly enough this season. All right, we were riding high with them last year. It's taken a little bit of time to get that offensive adjustment heading to the ACC. But quarterback Kevin Jennings, he's cooking.
He is, my friend. And it took me a little while because I was kind of invested in Preston Stone in some best ball leagues and season-long leagues. And obviously, from the layman's perspective, Stone was probably more injured than the Mustangs let on. I just wish we had known that, right? The reports were positive. So when Kevin Jennings was coming off the bench in the first game or so, I was like, they just want to get the young men opportunities. But then you kept reading tea leaves. They like Kevin Jennings. So I had to see what was up. Matt, he's a good player. And I wonder if it's just this turnover at quarterback. I just wonder if people aren't looking at SMU this year because he's clearly going under the radar. 4 of the last 5 games, Matt, he has scored over 21 fantasy points. In the last 2 games, he's become a better passer. 281 yards, 254 yards passing. Those are good numbers before he was under 150. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games, but it's with his legs that he really gets those points. He had 113 yards rushing and a touchdown last week. It looks like he averages about 50 yards on the ground and maybe half a touchdown. Matt, when I have a quarterback that scored 28 and 29 points back-to-back weeks, I'm interested in Kevin Jennings. And my friends, there's bye week 7, but week 8 is almost pure hell. It's chaos. If you need a quarterback, you could do worse than Kevin Jennings. Go get him before everyone needs him on the waiver wire.
That is such a good, important point, John. The guys we're talking about on today's episode, even go back and watch the last couple weeks' episodes if you missed that. If these guys are still around, you need to be looking a week or 2 ahead, right? Because the bye weeks, man, they're starting to get pretty rough. Taylor Thompson is one of these guys who, I think if you're looking a couple weeks ahead here, he definitely has the opportunity to contribute. So we're going to the tight end position. We were on a hot streak. We took a little step back. Matthew Lauder, I think actually did really fine. He just didn't have the touchdown. He was fine. I think it was like 8 fantasy points. It was fine. Yes. But it wasn't Eli Stowers who we really hit on. So if you have Stowers, man, another big game from him. But we were hot on the tight end. But we're not giving up yet. We're going to James Madison. We're going to go Taylor Thompson. He had 9 targets against UL Monroe, who's sneaky good, by the way. UL Monroe is kind of bringing it. So he had 5 receptions on those 9 targets, 59 yards. All right. That sounds all right. What I like about Thompson is over the last 3 weeks, he's got 20 targets. He's got 2 touchdowns and it's really trending towards his way. I think it went 5 targets, 7 targets, 9 targets over the last 3 weeks. So clearly Barnett, as he starts to get more comfortable with the offense, is leaning on Thompson. He's rostered in just 7% of leagues, so he's available in 93% of leagues. And I'm looking ahead, John, not just to the next couple weeks, but I'm looking for the late season stretch here. Thompson gets Georgia State, Old Dominion, App State, 3 of the worst passing defenses in the country. So Thompson's definitely worth adding for a nice bump now and a little bit of a stash later on in the season.
Hey, you could definitely do worse than Thompson, the tight end position. So we're going to help you all year round at that position. And with bye weeks, we're going to be dumpster diving at times. So it's very important. Now, the backfield, Matt. 2 weeks ago, Louisville and Notre Dame. Watching some highlights and catching some of that game, Isaac Brown popped, but I wasn't sure really what to make out of the young man. Now, I got a little bit lucky. He was really underpriced in DFS last week, so I played him. And I watched him again, Matt. All he did was gain 117 yards for the Cardinals on 10 carries. But here's the key. 5 receptions for 44 yards. Matt, we know Louisville likes to throw the football with Tyler Shuck. In the last 2 weeks, Isaac Brown has 12 targets, 9 receptions. Hey, they're for 77 yards. Not great, but you know what? Those are fantasy points. Matt, he's had 117 and 72 yards rushing. If you look at the Louisville game log, he's become their leading rusher the last 2 weeks. I noticed early in the year in week 1, Matt, against Austin Perry, 5 carries, 123 yards, but it seemed to be a blip because it's those early games. They blew him out 62-0. He's a freshman. But right now, he looks like the best running back in the backfield. You need a runner this week, everyone. They play Virginia. And I know if you're like me, you're looking at some teams where you have some flex positions. He's only on what? We got 12% of rosters out there. You need a back. Isaac Brown is your guy. And then he plays Miami of Florida and BC. I like those because he's the pass catcher. Matt, go get Isaac Brown.
Yeah, it's hard at the running back position right now. It is tough. So I saw John slide here. I put in some bids on Isaac Brown myself. So we'll see if I can outbid John in some of our mutual leagues here for Isaac. If you're enjoying this video, you're gonna love what we have available over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. You can get John's patron-only college fantasy football sleepers article. You can get access to my Dynasty Devy 2024 rookie and 2025 rookie rankings, exclusive Devy and Dynasty articles, as well as personalized advice for your college fantasy football and NFL fantasy football teams. All of that available for just $5 a month over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. I look forward to seeing you over there. I got to tell you, I'm willing to disclose, I put in a lot of bids for AJ Henning as well, the wide receiver out of Northwestern. This is my top guy this week, a guy who I'm really going after and getting aggressive on. He's available 95% of leagues. So even in my more competitive leagues with a lot of industry sharps, AJ Henning was available for me. I like what he did against Indiana this past week. 6 receptions on 8 targets, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Indiana's not a defense to shake your head at this season. It's a legitimate opponent here. But what I like even more, I chase targets. He's got 7 targets at least in every game this season. It's the Northwestern offense. That's really impressive. And then he's got 10 targets in 2 of his games, at least 10 targets in 2 of his games. So up next, AJ Henning has Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa, Purdue. In terms of the Big Ten schedule, that's pretty manageable. And Northwestern is going to be playing in negative game scripts. So they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They throw the ball primarily to AJ Henning. For a guy who's available 95% of the leagues, he's a real, he's a real prime target.
Oh, I put him on my CFF poll because is he a player to pick up? And I was surprised. I don't think people have really looked at the numbers, and probably Northwestern scares them off a little bit. But
Yeah.
Matt, positive or negative game script and targets matter. That's what we care about. Yeah. I'm going to give you another guy, which I'm surprised is still available on 65% of CFF leagues. I thought he'd be gone by now, but I wanted to highlight him. And here's the main reason. Well, he's good. That's one. Two, he qualifies at running back and wide receiver, Matt.
We love that.
When you can get a player who can help you in three, so he can play running back, wide receiver, or flex for you. And Matt, he's the anti-Henning. He's all about efficiency. I know I like volume too, and I will bank on volume. However, there are players in offensive systems, especially college. This isn't the NFL. You can do a lot with minimal touches when the offensive coordinator puts you in a position to succeed. Mm-hmm. Matt, Noah Short has produced over 15 fantasy points in every game. These numbers were actually mind-blowing when I looked them up. Talk about efficiency. He is averaging 28.7 yards per reception. That's phenomenal. And 12.7 yards per rush. He has 5 touchdowns. Now, I like watching the Army and Navy football. I know it's a little old school for some people, but they're both undefeated, Matt. They're both good. Norris Short, he should be on 65% of rosters by the end of the week. Not available on 65. I like him for the roster flexibility. And Matt, I'll bet on efficiency with him.
We were just talking about this before we actually started recording, John. The most dangerous thing for your fantasy football lineups at this point in the season are the zeros, are the 2-point games, right? So there's a real argument to be made for floor. And you're just talking about it. If you know you're going to get 15 points out of a player, even if their ceiling is 20 points, that's a must start at this point in the season, right?
Absolutely.
So a guy like Noah Short, he's a great target. He's a perfect guy to finish up the episode on. But again, it's about more than just waiver targets here. Drop your start sit questions. If there's a waiver target you want to go after who wasn't listed on this episode, players that you just have general questions about, concerns, you want to know our opinion, our outlook on those guys, drop them in the comment. Make sure to give the video a like. And if you want to get access to John's sleeper article just for Rookie Big Board patrons, as well as personalized advice in the Rookie Big Board Discord, as well as Dynasty, Devy, rookie rankings, and so much more, join us over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. And thanks for checking out this episode of the Rookie Big Board.